Good morning, everyone. It's Suzanne Taylor here for our Friday morning coffee chat. Not technically live today because of some technology glitches with Facebook, but I have hot coffee and I am joined today by the amazing life coach, Kevin Carton. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, and I'm excited to be here. I got my coffee. It's bulletproof. It's a
Oh, so is
bulletproof.
mine. Cheers.
Nice. Cheers. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I make the bulletproof coffee every morning. A little bit of ghee, a little bit of coconut oil, and one or two drops of stevia sweetener, and I'm out of that now.
Mm.
So it's full on bulletproof coffee, heavy creamer, deliciousness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah. So let's dive right in and tell me
Sure.
about how you help your clients, what you do, and I really would love my audience to hear your story about where you started
Okay.
and how you ended up a coach because I just remembered when we talked previously, it's been a little while, but
Yeah.
we both had totally different careers and transitioned into coaching. So I'd love to
Yeah.
hear a little bit about that.
Okay. So I'll start with sharing what you were asking first, just briefly, because I think the story to lead up to it is I know would be valuable to people
Yeah.
listening. But so I help my clients in helping them live their soul's purpose, and that is something that I've gained clarity on as I've built my business and as I've served more clients. It just tends to be who I attract. It's people who want to live a purpose and serve the world in some greater way. Now that's in many different ways. Like one of my most long-standing clients so far is an artist. He's a musician and wants to create music that is positive in the world,
Mm.
and so that's his mission. I've worked with a couple of coaches, so that because they have a mission to want to help people in their lives, and it just ranges, from different people. I have a couple of writers who want to write books that are transformational. I have a spiritual teacher as a client, so it's very varied. But what's the foundation or the common denominator is people who want to live their soul's purpose, who believe they're here on earth for a reason. It's not just a life, but that their soul has incarnated in this human experience for a reason to help people. And so, kind of esoteric, but that's what I resonate with, and again, I tend to attract those types of people. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, I got into this industry kind of like in a very windy way. It's not like I didn't have this in mind as a possibility, but I never thought this would be where I am now at 27 years old, and I've been in business for almost 3 years now. So I went to school to get my doctorate in pharmacy, and I chose that path because I really love science. I still do,
Hmm.
and I also chose it because it was a great income on paper. It said it's going to be like it was like six figures if
Yeah,
you
those
heard.
darn jobs that look good on paper.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And part of me, like, I chose it also because I did want to help people, and I saw that as a way to combine my interests and make good money. So I went to school to get a doctorate in pharmacy in a 6-year long program, and halfway through, I got into personal development. I started reading personal development books. My first book I ever read in personal development was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is just I mean, it's like the foundation
It,
of
it it's
transformation.
it's literally the book that everything else is based on.
Yeah, exactly. It's a textbook,
Hmm.
and even in, I think it's in the beginning. I have the original 1937 unedited edition, and in the
Oh, amazing.
yeah, and in the introduction, I forget who has like says like writes the introduction, but says like this book should be in every high school, and every student should have to pass a test on it. And so, yeah,
Yes.
I agree
Yes.
totally. And
Yes.
yes, that blew my mind, and it just like opened up so many realms of possibility of what I would consider is like, well, what do I really want to do in my life?
Hmm.
And when I started to vision and dream, 3, 4, 5 years beyond where I was, and imagining being a pharmacist, I didn't really resonate with it because I started to get more also into holistic health. And since I was moving up in the pharmacy school, I started to just gain more awareness that what pharmacists do, most often, not always, but it's providing like a Band-Aid basically, and
Yeah.
treatment for symptoms, but not the underlying cause.
Hmm.
And so I just felt horrible about that, and I just didn't want to continue down that path because I knew there was just a better way to help people. So, and I don't bash modern medicine. I think it's great. Like it's useful. And I think there needs to be much more of a complementary work with, say, Eastern medicine and philosophy, because it's just amazing. Like my brother's is back in school to get his doctorate in acupuncture, and the whole
Amazing.
study of energy medicine is just, yeah, it's phenomenal. So yeah, I just didn't want to contribute to the Western side of it, and a Western side of medicine. And so I made a really difficult decision to not continue to get my doctorate. And I'm proud that I did graduate with a 4-year degree, but I took a huge leap of faith to not continue because I really didn't have a clear idea of what I really want to be doing. So the day of my last final is when I got connected with my mentor, because I was still studying personal development material.
Hmm.
And I was connected with Bob Proctor, who is a
Yeah.
huge person in this industry.
Amazing.
Yeah, and he promoted one of Mary Morrissey's webinars. And so Mary's has been my mentor now for 6 years because I got on one of her webinars. I was just enthralled in her teaching style and who she was. And so I got in her programs. And that's what's really started to change my life to get to where I am today. I invested in coaching with her. And
Wow.
coaching just transformed my life forever. Within 1 year, I went from working a part-time job in pharmacy to then getting a job working for my fraternity. I moved to Texas from New York. I doubled my income there. Then I became a yoga instructor. And then I got a job working for a multi-million-dollar life coaching company, all within 1 year because of coaching.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And I didn't even have a degree in what I got a job as for the life coaching company. It was just
Hmm.
my commitment, my initiative, and of course my study. But it blows my mind that how this works, really. Like when you get your mind in tune with the infinite, really, like with this power, this presence that we call either God, the universe, source, spirit. There's so many different labels.
Yeah.
That there is this energy that will support you as you say yes to what you would love.
Yeah.
And it's not like an egotistical, like I want this, I desire this. It's something that just comes from the heart, and then
Hmm.
you feel guided to do. It's like this pull. And when we honor that longing within us, then life shows up to us in so many different ways. And so that's how I got into the industry. I started working for that company, and I was a content developer. And again, I didn't have
Wow.
any degree in writing or anything. It's just that I was so committed to the work that
Hmm.
they saw that in me. And so I got hired. So I worked for them for about 2.5 years, actually almost 3 years. Um, and after about a year or two, I started to realize that I still had a deeper longing than working, for full time. It was a great job. I had a full-time salary, working from home. I loved my work. And I also started to realize I had the longing to make a more direct impact in people's lives. Because I was sitting behind the computer, typing away, editing things, and my work impacted people. Like, for
Right.
example, I wrote an ebook that I ghost wrote it technically for the life coach, and it got downloaded over 50,000 times. So
Amazing.
I know, yeah, my work was making an impact, but no one had any idea, and I didn't have that connection. Like
Hmm.
I didn't get to hear from someone like your work. Oh my gosh, like my life has changed because of you.
Yes.
And so that's what really started to build that desire to become a coach. And so then after 3 years, I got certified by my mentor's company and took off. But
Amazing.
yeah, that we could talk about too. It's just like the leap of faith that I've like
Yeah.
going into the coaching industry, because I know that people who are coaches, whether they're certified or yet or not, because even people who are certified and like are ready to build a business, still there's that hesitancy.
Hmm.
And like there's a lot of fear. Like I faced that myself. I know, I'm sure you faced that too. And so
Numerous times.
yeah,
Numerous times.
yeah, it's normal. And so it's like, how do we face that and not get stopped by it? My fears were, well, I'm so young. Like, who's going to listen to me? I started
Hmm.
my business when I was 24. So yeah, it's just
Well, hey,
crazy.
I thought I was too old. So what's
Yeah,
the perfect age?
yeah,
What's the perfect age, right? You're
yeah,
young enough to be my son. Oh my
Mm.
God. I can't believe it. Oh my God. But that journey that you're talking about, that deciding on a career that looked good on paper, right? Yeah, I did that. And so many of my clients have done that.
Mm.
I work with a lot of people who have a 9 to 5 job, and then they have that longing and that calling, and they want to do that
Yeah.
other thing that makes them happy, that brings them satisfaction, brings them that joy, and also that connection to other people, that you're making a difference in their lives.
Hmm.
And I think that's one of the beautiful things about you as a coach and as a person, is that you were so young when this happened. When I was that age, I was like taking a year off from work, from being a dental hygienist, and snowboarding with a boy and bartending, and I had no idea. I mean, I knew a little bit about personal development. I knew who Tony Robbins was,
Mm.
but I hadn't really thought about my own thoughts yet.
Mm.
So I wasn't quite in control of my emotions and therefore behaviors. And I made a lot of decisions, well, that got me where I am today, but might not have been the best decisions back
Hmm.
then. But now they make me a better coach. So there's a reason for everything.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So I'd love to hear, at that age, being in college, making that decision, how did you stand strong in that decision with friends, family members, and really say, well, this is what I want to do, and not be affected when people had a negative reaction?
That's a great question. And I find the answer is very simple
Hmm.
often, but not easy, because it's very
Yes.
challenging to face people who are have logic on their side. Because
Mhm.
what my parents were saying, what my friends were saying, I was already thinking myself. It's like, oh, it's so much
Yes.
more logical to stay in school. I should just finish my degree, get my doctorate, get a good job, have security, and then I'll think about what I want to do really in my life. And so the thing that supported me the most was personal development.
Mm.
Kind of funny, just that
Yeah.
that's what was pulling me, but also what was supporting me in staying strong with what I knew what was
Mhm.
right. So it's like it wasn't like I read Think and Grow Rich for the first time and then was like so inspired and like, all right, I got this.
Yeah.
I stayed connected with this material. I read books every single day. I listened to audios. Like I mentioned, I was connected with Bob Proctor. I was on his free email list. I watched his videos. Like anything that I can get my hands on, I was immersing myself in. And what happens when you do that, this is why I highly recommend anyone to get a coach if they want to improve their life,
Hmm.
is you saturate your mind with the truth.
Yes.
The truth being that what you desire, what you can imagine can be real, but you have to start acting on it now.
Hmm.
You can't wait. Waiting creates a pattern. And if you keep waiting, it's going to be the end of your life when you're waiting till.
Yeah.
The most common regret of the people who are dying is they wished that they had taken more action. They don't
Yes.
regret the things they did do. They regret the things the most that they didn't do.
Yes.
And so that's another question, that a perspective that really helped me stay strong as well. And I gained that perspective from the personal development material what I was studying, is at the end of my life, what decision would I be most proud that I made?
Hmm.
Stay in school, play it safe, get the degree, wait, or make a bold decision, blow people's minds and make them think I'm crazy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and see what happens.
Yes.
Worst case scenario, I have a great story. It's like, yeah, that happened. Like I failed. Like it sucked, but hey, it was an adventure. That's just
Yeah.
how I perceived it, and it made it so much easier to make that decision. And honestly, and now I'm talking about it, thinking back to that time, I actually took pride in going against the grain.
Oh, that's
And
so, I love that, because I'm a
yeah,
total rebel at heart.
yeah,
So I
exactly.
love that. Going against the grain, doing, saying something different because
Yep.
it's what's in your heart, I mean, really that's enabled all of the greatest mistakes in my life and the greatest accomplishments.
Mm,
And sometimes those big mistakes, and my biggest mistake led me to my husband,
mm,
led me to adopting my son almost 11 years ago,
yep.
changed my life completely. And it
Mm,
was a devastating mistake. I mean,
yeah.
it was huge, big, um, and when I think about that time that it was actually happening, what was I doing? I wanted to hide. I wanted to
Mm,
go in my closet, shut the door, put a put a sweatshirt on over my head and just wait for it to be over.
mhm,
But by coming out and back into my life, and I had no car, I had no money, I was basically starting over at 27.
mm,
And just 6 months before, I had a $5 million a year business. The lessons learned in that, when you hit the lowest of, I mean, I wasn't homeless. I still had
mhm,
a house. I still had family. And, but I had to start completely over. My pride was affected, you know, wow.
mm,
But that's when it started for me. That's when my personal development journey started at
mm,
27. And for the next 6 years, went against what all of my friends were doing, what my family wanted me to do. Nobody understood. Nobody understood. I was like the black sheep of the family. And that's okay. That's okay.
yeah.
Because now I can look back and say, it all made sense. It
Mhm,
all made sense. Thank you, universe,
mm,
for pushing me in that direction.
yeah.
So I'm curious if you had a defining moment before you made your decision.
Mhm,
And I'm just thinking of this question now because my defining moment was a split second where I said, no,
yeah.
no more this way. I'm turning this way.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if you remember that moment for
100%.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's clear as day because it was a massive failure, just as yours. And that's often what happens when we're not honoring that pull of
Hmm.
becoming within us, and we know what decision is the best for us, what's right, but it's not logical.
Hmm.
If we're trying to suppress that, life shows up for us in a way where it just breaks things open. It's like, nope, you're going this way. This is
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
It must happen. And so for me, like I mentioned, it was a massive failure because before I made the decision to not continue to get my doctorate, I was so back and forth. It was building this desire and knowing, what was the best decision. I knew I didn't want to continue to get my doctorate. I wasn't happy. I was
Hmm.
even borderline depressed, like back and forth. And so I was so indecisive that I wasn't paying attention to my classes as I was before. I was a straight A and B student up until that point.
Hmm.
Even in the difficult pharmacy classes, because it was a 6-year long program, and it was 2 years of undergrad, and then we started the professional years. So I was already 2 years into the professional years. It was some difficult classes.
Oh, yeah.
So since I was going like this, like back and forth, I wasn't studying. I was just procrastinating on everything. And the day that I made the defining was a defining moment for me. The decision moment was in a pharmacy lab, was
Hmm.
surrounded by my classmates. We were all receiving our test scores back for one of our final exams, and our teacher was handing out these tiny little slips of paper that were
Hmm.
folded. And I got mine, opened it up, and I realized I failed a required course to continue on my path in pharmacy. And
Uh,
and I failed by less than 1 point.
oh,
It was so close. It was just below rounding up to a passing grade. That
uh,
close.
Unbelievable.
It was a hairline. And
Hmm.
I was shocked because I literally have never failed a class in my life before. And so I was frozen. My mind started racing like, oh my gosh, like this is going to mean I have to take another year of classes, more money that my parents are going to have to invest. My parents are going to be pissed off at me.
Hmm.
I was disappointed in myself. And so I went up to my teacher because I was still in the mindset of like, well, I got to pass. I got to do something. And so I was desperate. I asked my teacher, is there anything I can do for extra credit? And this moment was what changed my life is she said, no, I'm sorry. And I walked away a changed man because as I walked out, I started to realize, well, I failed because I don't want to be here. Like there's no point. Like I have
Wow.
no passion for it anymore.
Yeah.
And so it was just at that point, it was a real clear-cut decision. That failure helped me make the decision that I really wanted to make. Because I didn't want to stay another 3 years, let alone 2. And so
And
I had to
and
stay
can
3.
you honestly look back and say, "Oh, I kind of sabotaged that one.
Oh yeah.
I kind of forced my
Yeah.
hand."
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I wasn't decided. If
Yeah.
I had decided like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, stay the logical path, then I probably would have passed.
Hmm.
But I'm so glad that I would say it's even like an inner intuition or inner guidance that I think about that. I failed by just a hairline, just like less than 1 point.
Yeah.
Like at some level, my intelligence, my subconscious mind knew what
Hmm.
was best for me, what I did not want, or to continue on pharmacy. And it was like that was that moment. Like if I failed, then I would have made the right decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I guided myself along that way.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, the classic, I know the decision I want to make, but I need a sign
Yeah.
to help me make that decision.
Yep.
And wow. I mean, to be 1 point to the left,
Yeah.
right? That's thank you, universe.
Yeah.
Now looking back, but at the time, I'm sure it felt like full of anxiety, full of like, oh my God, I'll
Oh,
do
yeah.
anything. What do I need to do to pass? Because
Yep.
that's how we're programmed.
Exactly.
But so like amazing that you were able to cognitively kind of be the observer there
Yes.
within probably a couple hours,
Yeah.
even if it took a couple weeks
Hmm.
for you to say, oh,
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
why this happened. I see why I'm doing this. I see why I didn't pass,
Yep.
because what I truly desire is over here. And
Yeah.
that's really amazing.
Thank
And
you.
to help other people do that same thing is truly a magical experience. So
Hmm.
I'd love you to tell me about your first, or the first time a client said to you, "Oh, those moments
Yeah.
when I I was just on the phone call with a client this morning, and if she watches this, she'll totally know who it is. And she had a moment where she said, oh my God," and then a couple curse words after that. And I can't believe that's what it is. And
Mm.
I said, "Is that what you feel? Is that what?" She's like, "It just came loud and clear,
Mm.
loud and clear."
Hmm.
And I said, "What does it feel like to listen to that? When it's that loud and that clear, what does it feel like?" And she said, "Like the most incredible wisdom that is not coming from me,
Mm.
that's not coming from you. You just opened the portal for me to hear it, to see it, to feel it. Thank you, thank you, thank you."
Mm. Yeah.
And what does it feel like when that happens the first time?
That's an interesting experience
Hmm.
because we know that we're not doing it for them. Like,
Right.
that's the beautiful thing, is that they like, our clients have to do the work.
Mhm.
We have the privilege of being the guide, like you said, like helping open the portal, but they have to step in. And so in my experience, that feeling is, for me, it's work made, it's love made visible through our work.
Oh, I love that.
It's a quote
I
by
love that.
it's a quote by Khalil Gibran from The Prophet. There's actually an animated movie made out of it, but it's an ancient, like hundreds and hundreds of years old poem.
Mm,
Um, and he says that work is love made visible. And so I just think of that in this case, that
I love that.
yeah, it's love made visible in this case, because we get to be that person to open that door for them, and show them, like, this is possible. It's here
Wow.
for you. Just step in.
Wow.
Because that's, I mean, it's all love. And as they step in, that's them loving their life, them loving themselves, and honoring and loving that part of them that wants to go forward and wants to do what they love, and serve the world in some way, or activate themselves as a spiritual being,
Mm,
have a human experience. And so, um, like, the other word that came to mind was bliss, because like, I feel like after a coaching call that I have one of my clients has an awareness like that,
mhm.
like, I just want to dance around
I
and be like, oh my
know.
gosh, like,
Yes.
it, like, it happened.
Yeah.
And because of all the work that is put into to help them get to that place, because
Mhm.
it's not just like, oh, here's the door, like, open it. Like, it's a whole path to that door that has to be walked,
Yeah.
because their awareness has to be opened and opened and opened and opened, so that they can even be aware of the door first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's my
Well,
experience.
that describes it really, really well. Because I didn't quite understand what I facilitated with people when I first started.
Mm,
Because I got my start in fitness and nutrition. And so the type of coaching that I was doing there, I I know the exact day this happened too. Um, so coaching people on what they ate and their exercise, the people who had a why, the people who had a mindset shift that allowed me to help them shift their mindset instead of eating healthy, losing weight, and exercising
mm,
for the 30-pound goal or the 100-pound goal or the wedding or the anniversary or the vacation,
yeah.
to think of it as a lifestyle change. This is something I'm going to do forever. This is who I am.
Hmm.
Sue doesn't eat sugar. Sue doesn't drink Diet Coke anymore. Hardest thing I ever gave up in my life. Helping clients do that made me realize, oh, I see what I'm supposed to be doing. So, yes, the physical body is important,
Mm,
but the mindset work that I'm doing with my clients, that's why I'm more successful long term than the other trainers that I worked with.
mm,
And I have clients from back then who I ran into one last summer, and it had been 9 years since I helped her lose 80 or more pounds. And we saw each other at a store with our kids. And she said to me, I put 15 pounds back on because of stress and my mother passing and blah, blah, blah. And I went right back to all the materials I printed out from when we worked together.
mm.
And it wasn't the recipes and it wasn't the exercise plan. It was the affirmations and the mindset
Nice.
of being, and I almost cried in Old Navy. Like that I have not seen her in 9 years. But to know that the work we did now 12 years ago made a difference yet again,
Mm,
that's something that people will carry with them forever.
yep.
And anytime you shift someone's way of thinking, seeing, believing, give them a new belief system or help them get rid of an old belief system and shift, and watching the changes that happen, I think that's the most rewarding part for me. What
Yeah.
would you say is the most rewarding part for you after you're, um, I don't want to say done with a client, but
Hmm.
after somebody works with you for a certain period of time,
Yeah.
what's the most rewarding piece for you?
I think the most rewarding piece is the ripple effect for me.
Mm,
In, because someone's life has changed, as you mentioned, and but it doesn't stop there. It never does. Because at the very core of our being, we influence others just by who we are
yeah.
and what we're doing, but just by the example. And so I think of one of my clients I worked for over 2 years, and she's a mother of 4 kids, single mother of 4 kids, and so her kids look up to her all the time. And even though they're grown, like they're like her youngest is 16, and then oldest is
Wow.
in their I think early 30s. And but so three of her kids are still at home, like a couple of them are in college, so like especially now with the pandemic and the quarantine and all, they're home, and so they're looking at their mother,
Hmm.
like how is she being, like what is she doing, how is she thinking about all this. And I think of that, and like there's been at least 3 or 4 calls just in the last year, that her name is Virginia, that she literally just was in tears because of not only what the work that we have done to help her change her life has done, but how it's impacting her kids,
Yeah.
and how they're being aware of their own thoughts and being aware of like what decisions they're making. And so I just think of that. Like I never even talked to any of their kids. And yet I know that there's at some level an impact that's being made over time. And
Yes.
so for me, that's the most fulfilling because it's it reminds me of a couple of examples or analogies that like as I mentioned, the ripple effect. Like you throw water in a smooth pond, like it ripples out and affects literally every single uh, uh, water molecule
Hmm.
in that lake. And then also is that as the tide rises, all ships rise with it.
Yeah.
And so it's a privilege really not to just work with
Hmm.
one client, but then again the impact that it's made.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I love how when you impact, and I'm trying to remember who said this. I don't off the top of my head. But when you impact one person, one other person, you have the chance to impact thousands.
Mm,
And if you impact 100 people, you have the chance to impact tens of thousands of people. And if you impact 1,000 people in your coaching career, you have the chance to impact 1 million people.
mm.
And that analogy, along with the domino analogy, have you ever heard of the domino analogy?
I could imagine what it's like, but tell me
Yeah,
about it.
so a domino, we know, what is it? What are they? 2 inches, an
Yeah,
inch and a
everyone's right.
half.
Yeah,
So every domino has the ability to knock over another domino double its size.
yeah.
So just by the law, and I forget what the law is called. College has been a long time for me. So the law of, um, it's multiplication or the law of whatever. But anyway, so you start with a regular size domino, and by the time you get to domino 10, you're knocking over, a 6'7" basketball player.
Mm,
By the time you get to domino 28 or 30, you're knocking over the Empire State Building. And by the time you get to domino 100, you're knocking over something as tall as the moon.
wow.
And that is the ripple effect that
Yeah,
coaching can have, that literally you can reach somebody next door to you, or you could reach somebody halfway across the planet
mm,
because of the way technology has allowed us to reach people now.
yeah.
Um, What's the farthest client you've ever worked with? I
Uh,
always ask this question.
yeah, I think I'm currently working with her. She lives in the Philippines.
Awesome.
Or actually, no, I'm sorry. Australia.
Okay.
Literally all the way across the world.
All the way across.
Yeah, yeah,
Me too. Australia, New Zealand, South Africa are the farthest ones
nice.
and the most challenging because
Mhm.
of the darn time zone, you know. But
Yeah,
once we have that appointment time nailed down that
yeah,
works for both of us, let's just stick with that and we'll do
yeah,
that every week.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been awesome getting this insight from you. You're an amazing, I want to say young man, and that just seems wrong because I feel like you are wise beyond your years and
Mm,
just incredible as far as where you're going to be in the future because of the work you've done so early in your career.
mm.
And you know, age is just a number. um, and I want to congratulate you for making a bold decision, stepping into your purpose, helping other people do the same, and doing it so confidently. I know it wasn't easy, but I see it and I totally respect it and want to give you props for that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I've been called an old soul, so I know what you're talking
Yeah. Yeah.
about.
Yeah. But that's okay. You're still a young man to me.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Um, so, any final thoughts? And tell us how we can get in touch with you. And when I share this video, I will put link to your website, your Facebook page in the comments, and you can share it with your tribe if you want
Yeah.
to. But leave us with
I'm happy
some
to.
final thoughts about how people can reach you.
So, final thoughts before I share that. Where can people reach me?
Yeah.
Is really quick, just to reiterate and just hit on a point, just nail it down. Is if you feel a calling to do something, whether that's to be a coach, to start a business, to write a book, to do art, to do something, whatever that you feel is like literally written on your heart, then
Hmm.
do something today. Even if it's just like a 5 minute step to take, send an email, write, a letter, or call someone, do research, like just something. Just start honoring that because life is too short. So
I love it.
you never know. You never know what can happen by just taking one step. So um, honor that calling within you. And so people can find me. I'm most active on Instagram, and my Instagram tag is at Kevin F. Carton. F is my middle name, Francis. And my website is just kevincarton.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Sweet.
thank you so much for being here,
You're welcome.
sharing a bulletproof coffee with me. There's not many
Yep.
people that are brave enough to dive into that in the morning, but
Yep.
it's definitely made my brain more focused in the morning, more powerful. I feel unstoppable energy after my coffee in the morning in a different way than being over caffeinated. So I
Yes.
appreciate that. Something else we have in common.
Yes.
Yes. All
Well,
right.
thank you
Well,
for
have a
having me.
great day and thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.